TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donation. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Iran proclaims that it is ready for war, while Israel prepares for a powerful retaliatory attack against the Islamic Republic. The European Union and Britain announced fresh sanctions on Iran in response to the Islamic Republic's transfer of ballistic missiles and drones to Russia for its war of aggression against Ukraine. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserts Israel's resolve to strike Hezbollah without mercy everywhere in Lebanon. Iran's evil aspirations vis-à-vis Israel will fail as the Islamic Republic's belligerent schemes face a determined nation that fights together, and with God's help, Jerusalem will emerge victorious. Following a deadly Hezbollah drone attack on a Golani Brigade training installation, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the base, during the course of which he reaffirmed Israel's persistent spirit in the face of adversity.
We are fighting in a tough war against Iran's axis of evil that seeks to destroy us. They will not succeed. We are continuing to fight. We are paying a painful price, but we have considerable achievements, which we will continue to make. I would like to clarify, we will continue to strike Hezbollah without mercy everywhere in Lebanon, including in Beirut. Everything is subject to operational considerations. We have proven this recently, and we will continue to prove it in the coming days as well. The main thing is the spirit that I see here, the great spirit of the soldiers and medics, warriors that understand that they are fighting for the eternity of Israel. With God's help, together we will fight and together we will win.
The IDF continues to advance in southern Lebanon, consistently making operational gains versus the Iranian proxy Hezbollah, with the IDF spokesperson's unit noting that over the past day, in coordination with ground troops, the IAF struck more than 200 Hezbollah terrorist targets in southern Lebanon and deep within Lebanon, including terrorist cells, anti-tank missile posts, and surface-to-surface missile launchers. The IDF further noted that in one of the strikes, the troops identified multiple terrorists entering a structure in the area. Shortly following the identification, the IAF struck the site and eliminated the terrorists. Meanwhile, in Luxembourg, the European Union held a foreign ministerial during the course of which they called upon Israel to cease attacks on UNIFIL positions in Lebanon, while pushing back on Israeli calls for temporary withdrawal from a number of positions along the Israeli-Lebanese borderline.
Finally, after hours of discussion, we agreed on a 27 statement supporting UNIFIL. The 27 members agreed on asking Israel to stop attacking UNIFIL. Many European members are participating in this mission. Their work is very important. It's completely unacceptable attacking United Nations troops.
We have reached out to our Israeli friend to make our position very clear. No, they will not withdraw. No, yes, they will continue to fulfill their mandate. And yes, we demand on each and every party to respect this mandate and respect the security and safety of our blue helmets, which has to be ensured at each and every occasion.
It's unacceptable. The attacks from Israel and the shots on the troops of UNIFIL must stop. It's contrary to UN Security Council resolutions and its decision to create the UNIFIL. It is contrary to what we expect from any member state of the United Nations, which is ultimately an organization that protects world peace and security.
It is important to highlight that while France, Ireland, and Spain were quick to conclude that Israel deliberately struck a number of UNIFIL posts, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a reactive statement, rejected the unsubstantiated premise as false.
The charge that Israel deliberately attacked UNIFIL personnel is completely false. It's exactly the opposite. Israel repeatedly asked UNIFIL to get out of harm's way. It repeatedly asked them to temporarily leave the combat zone, which is right next to Israel's border with Lebanon. In fact, on the day that Israel began its ground operation next to our border with Lebanon, we asked them specifically, please leave this area so you're not harmed. Israel is not fighting UNIFIL. It's not fighting the people of Lebanon. It is fighting Iran's proxy Hezbollah, which uses Lebanese territory to attack Israel. Hezbollah attacked Israel last year without any provocation on October 8th, a day after the Hamas massacre. And it's continued to attack us ever since by launching over 10,000 rockets and missiles at Israel. Hezbollah uses UNIFIL facilities and positions as cover while it attacks Israeli cities and communities.
The Israeli premier further stressed that while he regrets any harm to UNIFIL personnel, Israel has every right to defend itself against Hezbollah.
Israel has every right to defend itself against Hezbollah and will continue to do so. We regret any harm done to UNIFIL personnel, and the IDF is doing its utmost to prevent such incidents. But the best way to ensure the safety of UNIFIL personnel is for UNIFIL to heed Israel's request and to temporarily get out of harm's way.
Returning to Luxembourg, where the EU foreign ministers, along with British Foreign Secretary David Lammy, approved a list of sanctions on 7 Iranian entities, including the Islamic Republic's national carrier, Iran Air, over Tehran's blatant support for Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, a move that was subsequently welcomed by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
Today, the Council took a decision on sanctions on Iran. The reason is that Iran is supporting Russia's drone and missile terror against innocent civilians in Ukraine. The daily killing and the death of innocent people that we see would not be possible without the supplies and the supply lines by Iran. And therefore, these sanctions against Iran are sending a very clear message. Contributions to terror and Russia's illegal war of aggression have serious consequences.
Jerusalem also welcomed the EU and British decision to slap Iran with a series of fresh sanctions, with Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz releasing a statement which reads, quote, "I welcome the decision by the European Union and Britain to impose additional sanctions on Iran, including its airline carriers and senior officials involved in transferring ballistic missiles and UAVs to Europe and the Middle East." He further stressed that these sanctions relays a message that the international community will not tolerate Iran's dangerous actions and its support for terror and the destabilization of the region. Jerusalem's top diplomat went on to assert that Iran and its proxies continue to pose a threat to the free world, and by means of significant coordinated action, we will be able to stop its aggression and to ensure regional security. It is worth noting that the EU and British sanctions were implemented merely 3 days after Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, ahead of a BRICS leadership meeting scheduled to be held next week in Kazan.
I am very glad, dear Mr. President, that there is an opportunity to meet you personally and discuss our current issues. Relations with Iran are a priority for us, and they are developing very successfully. The situation in the region is in turmoil now, and the United States and the European countries do not want the situation to return to calm, which would allow us to continue ties in a calm environment.
Turning to the Iraqi city of Karbala,
Allah is great. America is the great Satan. Death, death to America.
Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps operatives alongside Iraq's cluster of Iranian proxies, commonly referred to as Hashd al-Sha'bi or the Popular Mobilization Forces, held a funeral procession for the deputy commander of the RGC Quds Force, Brigadier General Abbas Nilfaroshan, who was eliminated in the Israeli strike on Beirut that brought about the demise of Hezbollah's Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah.
This precious blood which have been shed during these days would only raise the determination, insistence, and the resilience of us and the fighters. I believe that the power and resilience shown by the fighters following the martyrdom of the Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and his companions gave them an important lesson, especially in Lebanon by the hands of Hezbollah.
The procession was held a day after Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited Iraq, during the course of which he addressed Israel's anticipated attack on Iran, asserting that the Islamic Republic is ready for war. Nevertheless, Tehran's top diplomat went on to cynically claim the Ayatollah regime's hopes for peace.
We are prepared for any kind of circumstances. We are ready for war, but we are also ready for peace. This is the definitive stance of the Islamic Republic. We are entirely ready for a military conflict. We are not afraid of war, but we do not wish for war. We want peace, and we will seek a just peace in Lebanon and Gaza.
The Iraqi foreign minister, for his part, voiced Baghdad's anger over the use of its airspace for expanding the war in the region, stopping short, of course, of any reference to the Iranian proxies launching hundreds of attacks against both U.S. installations as well as Israel directly in recent years.
The continuation of the war and its expansion towards the Islamic Republic of Iran, along with the exploitation of Iraq and its airspace, as has happened before, is completely unacceptable and rejected. We are striving to prevent the outbreak of war, and if it occurs, God forbid, Iraq and its airspace must remain outside the scope of the conflict. The outbreak of war in the region would affect shipping lanes, especially in the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, leading to threats to energy supplies and thus creating a major international crisis in the fields of energy and the economy.
It's important to know that while Iran cynically claims to pursue peace, it has repeatedly acknowledged its continued role in supporting its proxies and waging war against Israel, including during a visit by Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bakir Kalibaf, who visited Beirut this past Saturday.
I'm particularly carrying a message from Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei for the Lebanese people with assurances that, in these difficult conditions, the Islamic Republic of Iran shall stand with Lebanon's nation and government and the resistance Hezbollah in all areas.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Separately, if you're blessed by productions which are exclusively donation-based, please consider supporting our programs with a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Jonathan Essen wishing you a Chag Sukkot Sameach, ve'erev mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.